My son was fighting for his life in ICU. Mom texted, "Don't forget dessert for your brother's gender reveal party." I replied with one word that ended everything. Hey Reddit, my 4-year-old son was in the ICU fighting for his life, and my family wanted me to bring cupcakes to my brother's gender reveal party. When I refused, they showed up at the hospital to drag me out. Big mistake. What followed destroyed their perfect little family dynamic forever. I'm Jake, 32 male, and this whole situation still feels surreal even months later. My wife Olivia and I have been together for 8 years, married for 6. We have one son, Noah, who just turned 4 last month. He's one of those kids who lights up every room he walks into, always laughing, always asking a million questions, always finding the fun in everything. The kid's obsessed with dinosaurs right now, can name every species from Tyrannosaurus to Parasaurolophus, and insists on wearing his velociraptor costume to the grocery store. That's Noah. Pure joy wrapped in a tiny package. My family's a different story. My parents, Richard and Patricia, are your typical upper-middle-class suburban types who care way too much about appearances. Dad's a financial advisor who spends more time on the golf course than in the office. Seriously, the man plays 18 holes 4 times a week and somehow maintains a client base that keeps him in designer polos and a luxury sedan. Mom runs a boutique that basically functions as her social club more than an actual business. The place sells overpriced candles and home decor to other wealthy suburban moms who have nothing better to do than spend 3 hours discussing throw pillow arrangements. They live in one of those neighborhoods where everyone's competing to have the best lawn and the most expensive car in the driveway. Their house is this massive colonial with white columns that scream, "We have money and we need you to know it." Then there's my younger brother Austin, 28 male. Golden child doesn't even begin to cover it. This guy could sneeze wrong, and mom would find a way to turn it into a triumph of human achievement. He's a real estate agent who sells maybe 3 houses a year, but acts like he's closing billion-dollar deals. His business cards call him a luxury property specialist, which is code for, "I show rich people houses they could buy without my help." His wife Jennifer is cut from the same cloth. Instagram influencer wannabe with 3,000 followers who acts like she's running a media empire. She posts daily photos of her morning routine, which apparently involves 20 minutes of staging her coffee cup next to a succulent plant for the perfect shot. The favoritism started early and never let up. When I was 10 and Austin was 6, I won first place in the regional science fair. Spent 3 months building this elaborate solar system model with working motors and LED lights. I'd wake up at 6 a.m. to work on it before school, stayed up past midnight soldering circuits and painting details. The thing was incredible. Each planet rotated at scientifically accurate speeds relative to each other. The LED sun actually heated up slightly to demonstrate solar radiation, and I'd programmed a small display showing orbital mechanics calculations. The judges gave me first place unanimously out of 127 entries from 6 school districts. My parents came to the award ceremony wearing jeans and looking vaguely annoyed to be there. They clapped politely when I won, took exactly one photo where Dad's thumb was half covering the lens, and spent the entire car ride home talking about Austin's upcoming t-ball game. Not one question about the project, not one acknowledgement of the work I'd put in, not even a good job that sounded genuine. Just, "That's nice, honey," before pivoting immediately to whether Austin would prefer blue or red laces on his new glove. When Austin won Most Improved Player in that same t-ball league 2 months later, a participation trophy they literally gave to every kid on every team, my parents threw him a party, invited the whole extended family, had a custom cake made with a baseball diamond design, bought decorations, the works. They must have spent $300 on that party. I remember standing in the backyard watching everyone celebrate Austin's ability to occasionally hit a ball off a tee while my first place science fair trophy sat in my room collecting dust. My aunt asked to see it, and when I brought it down, Mom actually looked annoyed that I was making it about me during Austin's celebration. The pattern continued through middle school. I made honor roll every semester for 3 years straight, got taken to Applebee's once, and that was only because we were already going there for Austin's birthday dinner. When Austin passed 8th grade with a 2.1 GPA, barely avoiding summer school, they took him to Six Flags as a reward for working so hard. High school brought more of the same. I got a full academic scholarship to State University, 3.9 GPA, AP classes, leadership positions in 3 clubs, volunteer work, the whole package. When the acceptance letter came with the full ride scholarship, my parents took me to Applebee's to celebrate. Just the 3 of us because Austin had band practice. We ordered appetizers and entrees, they said congrats, and then spent dinner discussing whether Austin should take Spanish or French his sophomore year. 2 years later, Austin got into a mediocre private college with a 2.7 GPA and family connections. My dad's golf buddy sat on the admissions board. They threw him a graduation party that cost more than my entire freshman year textbooks combined. Rented out a banquet hall, hired a DJ, open buffet, professional photographer. Easily $5,000 on that party. I'd been home for summer break, helping set up, and overheard Mom on the phone telling someone how proud she was that Austin was going to college despite his learning challenges. The kid didn't have learning challenges. He just didn't try because he never had to. I started my career as a junior architect at a small firm right out of college, working insane hours for basically minimum wage when you calculated the overtime I wasn't paid for. Spent my 20s pulling all-nighters on project bids, learning the industry from the ground up, taking every certification course I could afford. Slowly built my reputation through actual work, designing efficient commercial spaces, managing complex projects, solving problems other firms said couldn't be solved. By 30, I was a senior project manager, overseeing commercial developments across 3 states, shopping centers, office buildings, mixed-use developments, projects worth millions where my decisions affected hundreds of people's jobs and livelihoods. Good money, stable career, actually proud of what I'd built, real accomplishments that required skill and effort. My parents' response to my career success? That's nice, dear. Did you hear Austin sold a house last month? This happened at every family dinner. I'd mention landing a major client or completing a complex project ahead of schedule and under budget, and they'd find a way to pivot to Austin within 30 seconds. Austin showed a property to some important people from the city. Austin thinks the market's going to be really strong next quarter. Austin posted the cutest photo on Instagram of him standing in front of a house. The house he'd stood in front of for that photo? One of my commercial developments that his firm didn't even list. He'd literally just taken a photo in front of a building I'd designed and passed it off as his own work. When I pointed this out at dinner, Dad told me I was being petty. When Olivia and I got engaged after 3 years of dating, we planned a small ceremony because that's what we wanted and what we could afford. 50 people, local venue at a vineyard an hour outside the city, budget-friendly but meaningful. We spent months planning every detail ourselves. Olivia made centerpieces by hand. I designed our invitations using my architecture software. We hired a friend's band instead of a DJ. The whole thing cost maybe $8,000, which we paid for mostly ourselves. My parents contributed exactly $500 and complained the entire time about the modest arrangements. Mom actually asked if we were sure about the venue, suggesting we might want to postpone and save up for something more appropriate. Translation: something she could brag about to her boutique friends. She made comments about the buffet-style dinner instead of plated service, questioned our choice to skip champagne toasts in favor of sparkling cider, and loudly wondered if 50 people was enough for a proper wedding. Dad said nothing, which was somehow worse than Mom's criticism. The wedding itself was perfect. Small, intimate, full of people who actually loved us. Olivia's parents cried during our vows. My best friend gave a speech that had everyone laughing and crying. We danced until midnight, and left feeling like we'd started our marriage exactly the right way. When Austin and Jennifer got engaged 2 years later, my parents dropped $40,000 on a wedding that looked like it came straight out of a magazine. I know the exact amount because Mom couldn't stop mentioning it. Open bar with a full bartender staff, destination venue at some exclusive resort, professional everything. Photographer, videographer, wedding planner, the whole production. The invitation alone probably cost more than our centerpieces. They had ice sculptures, for crying out loud. Ice sculptures that melted before dinner even started in the summer heat, but the point was making a statement. 200 guests, seated dinner with filet mignon and lobster tail, a 12-piece band, fireworks at the end of the night. Mom posted about 17 albums worth of photos on social media, each one carefully curated to show off the expensive details. The wedding made the lifestyle section of the local newspaper. Jennifer's dress cost more than our entire venue rental. The kicker? They asked me to be Austin's best man during the engagement party, pulled me aside while everyone was toasting with expensive bubbly, and asked if I'd stand up there and give a speech about what a great guy he was, how proud I was of him, all that nonsense. Put me on the spot in front of 50 family members and friends who were all looking at me expectantly. I said yes because that's what you do for family, right? Spent weeks writing a perfectly nice speech that highlighted all of Austin's good qualities without being dishonest. Talked about growing up together, shared memories that made him look good, praised his relationship with Jennifer, smiled for photos, wore the expensive tuxedo they picked out, Played my part perfectly. When Austin actually got married 8 months later, he didn't even invite me to be a groomsman. Had his college buddies up there instead. Three guys he'd known for 4 years versus his brother he'd known his entire life. I was just seated in the family section with Olivia, watching strangers stand next to my brother during the most important moment of his life. When I asked about it later, trying to keep my voice casual even though it hurt like hell, he said he wanted to keep the wedding party to people he was really close with. We're brothers, man. We grew up in the same house, shared a bathroom for 18 years, taught each other how to ride bikes. But apparently that doesn't count as really close. The really insane part? My parents thought this was totally reasonable. When I mentioned feeling hurt about being excluded from the wedding party, Mom actually got defensive. Austin should have whoever he wants in his wedding party, she said, like I was being unreasonable for having feelings about it. Don't make this about you. This is his special day. His special day that I'd helped plan as best man during the engagement. His special day where I wasn't considered close enough family to stand next to him. But pointing that out made me selfish, apparently. But when Noah was born 4 years ago, radio silence from my parents. Complete and total radio silence. Olivia went into labor at 3 in the morning, we got to the hospital by 4, and Noah arrived at 11:47 a.m. after 8 hours of labor that had Olivia squeezing my hand hard enough to leave bruises. The moment they put him in my arms, everything in the world made sense in a way it never had before. I called my parents from the hospital at noon, voice shaking with emotion and exhaustion. He's here, Noah James. 7 pounds, 4 ounces, everyone's healthy. Mom's response. Oh, that's wonderful, dear. Send us some photos when you get a chance. We've got a charity luncheon this afternoon, but we'll try to stop by tomorrow if we can. Try. They'd try to stop by to meet their first grandchild. They showed up the next day but only stayed 20 minutes. Arrived at 2:15, left at 2:35. I know because I was watching the clock. Couldn't believe they were already making leaving noises after barely 15 minutes. Took a few photos, all of which ended up on Mom's social media with captions about being blessed with a grandson, and left because they had dinner reservations at some restaurant that apparently couldn't be rescheduled. Didn't hold Noah for more than 30 seconds. Mom held him briefly for a photo, passed him back, and that was it. Dad stood at the end of the bed making small talk about traffic while his grandson, his first grandchild, slept in the bassinet 2 feet away. In 4 years since then, they've seen Noah maybe 6 times. Maybe. I can count them on one hand and still have fingers left over. Never babysat, never offered to help when we were drowning in new parent exhaustion, never showed genuine interest in getting to know their grandson. They sent birthday cards with checks for $25, the same amount you'd give to a coworker's kid you barely know. No calls just to see how he was doing, no visits just because they missed him. Nothing. Meanwhile, when Jennifer got pregnant last year, you'd think she was carrying the second coming of Christ himself. My parents called her weekly for updates on every tiny symptom and craving. Threw her an elaborate baby shower at some country club with a professional event planner and custom decorations. The invitations were printed on fancy cardstock with foil accents. Must have cost $200 just for invitations. The shower itself was insane. Catered food, professional games coordinator, a freaking candy bar with custom labels. They bought her a $600 stroller, a designer diaper bag, and paid for her nursery furniture. The whole thing probably cost $5,000 minimum. For Noah's birth, we got a fruit basket and a stuffed animal from the hospital gift shop. Mom literally cried tears of joy when Austin and Jennifer announced it was a boy. Real tears streaming down her face, hugging Jennifer like she'd won the lottery. This happened at a family dinner, where Noah was sitting right across the table, coloring in his dinosaur book and completely ignored by his grandparents. I watched my mom cry about getting a grandson, while her actual grandson sat 3 feet away, and she didn't even glance in his direction. Olivia noticed all of this from day one. She's got a backbone I never developed, probably because she came from a normal family where people actually like each other. Her parents visit regularly, call to check on Noah, send him cards for every holiday. They're what grandparents are supposed to be. Your family treats you like garbage, she told me after that baby announcement, and you just take it. She was right, but what are you supposed to do? They're your family. You keep showing up, keep hoping things will change. Keep trying to be good enough to earn the respect they give Austin for doing absolutely nothing. Then last month, everything changed. Noah had been sick for a few days. Started as what we thought was just a bad cold. Runny nose, slight fever, typical preschool stuff. Olivia kept him home from daycare, gave him medicine, monitored his temperature. By day 3, he seemed to be getting better. Fever went down, energy came back a bit. Day 4, everything went sideways. I was at a job site reviewing foundation plans when Olivia called. Her voice had that edge to it that makes your stomach drop before you even hear the words. Noah's having trouble breathing. I'm taking him to the ER. I left immediately, didn't even tell anyone where I was going. Just got in my truck and drove 90 miles an hour to the hospital. Called Olivia 3 times on the way, each time hearing that tight, barely controlled panic in her voice that she was trying so hard to keep out for Noah's sake. When I got to the ER, they'd already taken him back. Respiratory distress, they said. They were running tests, trying to figure out what was causing it. His oxygen levels kept dropping despite the supplemental oxygen they were giving him. Olivia was in the waiting room, pale as paper. They said it might be pneumonia or RSV or something viral they can't identify yet. They're doing chest x-rays and blood work. We waited 4 hours in that ER. 4 hours of watching other patients come and go while our son was somewhere behind those doors struggling to breathe. Finally, a doctor came out. Young guy, looked exhausted but kind. We're admitting Noah to the pediatric intensive care unit. His oxygen saturation isn't stabilizing, and we need to monitor him closely. He's fighting off a severe respiratory infection, but we're still determining the exact cause. The ICU. Our 4-year-old son was going to the ICU. They moved him that night. Got him set up in a room with more monitors and machines than I could count. Every beep made my heart jump. Every alarm sent nurses rushing in to check settings and adjust equipment. Noah looked so small in that hospital bed. Oxygen mask covering half his face, eyes confused and scared behind the clear plastic. His little chest was still working too hard with each breath, pulling in at the ribs in a way that made my stomach turn. The ICU room was cold and clinical, all white walls and beeping machines and that hospital smell that's equal parts antiseptic and fear. They had him hooked up to a pulse oximeter that showed his oxygen saturation levels in glowing red numbers. Every time those numbers dipped below 90, my heart would stop. Normal is 95 to 100. He was hovering around 88 to 92, even with supplemental oxygen. The respiratory technician came in every 2 hours to check his breathing, listen to his lungs, adjust the oxygen flow. "Daddy, I don't like it here," Noah whispered when they finally let us back in to see him after getting all the monitors set up. His voice was muffled behind the mask, small and scared. "I know, buddy. The doctors are going to make you feel better, okay? Mommy and I are right here. We're not leaving." He reached for my hand with his little fingers, and I held on like it was the only thing keeping me tethered to reality. Olivia sat on the other side of the bed, stroking his hair, singing the dinosaur song he loved. Her voice kept breaking, but she kept singing anyway. We took shifts that first night. Olivia stayed until 2 a.m., then I took over while she went home to shower and get clean clothes and try to sleep in our empty house. Neither of us really slept. Hard to sleep when your kid's hooked up to machines tracking every breath, when every alarm makes you jump, when you're terrified that the next nurse who rushes in might be coming with bad news instead of routine checks. I spent those quiet hours just watching Noah breathe, counting each breath like it was precious. 26 breaths per minute, then 28, then back to 24. The monitor showed me everything: heart rate, oxygen saturation, respiratory rate, numbers that represented whether my son lived or died. Day 2 in the ICU, Noah got worse. His oxygen levels dropped again overnight, and the doctors decided to increase respiratory support. They brought in a different type of oxygen delivery system, not just the simple mask anymore, but something that pushed air into his lungs more aggressively. They were talking about possibly needing to intubate if things didn't improve. Intubate. That means putting a tube down his throat and having machines breathe for him, sedating him completely and taking over the most basic function of life. The doctor explaining this to us, different doctor than yesterday, someone from the pulmonary team, used careful clinical language to describe what would happen if Noah's condition deteriorated further. Olivia was crying silently, tears just running down her face while she nodded and tried to follow along. I was asking questions about success rates and recovery times and potential complications, my architect brain trying to understand the blueprint of this nightmare scenario. I called my parents that morning, told them Noah was in the ICU, told them it was serious, told them we were scared. Mom's response? "Oh no, that's terrible. Keep us updated, sweetie. We're actually pretty busy this week with Austin's gender reveal party planning, but we'll try to stop by when things settle down." Try to stop by when things settle down. Like we were asking them to drop by for coffee, not see their grandson who might need a breathing tube. I didn't say anything, just hung up and went back to Noah's room. Day 3 was somehow worse and better. Worse because Noah's fever spiked to 104 and they had to pack him in cooling blankets. Better because the antibiotics finally seemed to be working and his oxygen levels stabilized slightly. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. Olivia and I were surviving on hospital cafeteria food and terrible vending machine snacks. We looked like zombies. My boss had told me to take whatever time I needed, and Olivia's office was being understanding too. None of that mattered. The only thing that mattered was Noah getting better. That's when the texts started. First one came from Mom on day 4. Hi, honey. Just confirming you're still coming to Austin's gender reveal party on Saturday. It starts at 2 p.m. We're doing it at the country club. I stared at that message for a full minute. My son was in the ICU. I'd told her that. She knew that. And she was asking about a party? I texted back, Noah's still in the ICU. We can't make it. Her response came back within seconds. Oh, I'm sure he'll be better by then. It's 3 days away. Plus, this is really important to Austin and Jennifer. The whole family will be there. The whole family. Right. Everyone except the family currently living in a hospital room. I didn't respond. Went back to watching Noah sleep, counting his breaths, praying the monitors would stay quiet. Day 5 brought better news. Noah's fever broke. His oxygen levels were holding steady without needing to be increased. The doctor started talking about moving him out of ICU to a regular pediatric floor in a day or two if improvement continued. We weren't out of the woods, but we could finally see the path. Olivia cried when the doctor told us. Real, ugly, relieved crying. I probably would have joined her if I wasn't so exhausted. I wasn't sure I was capable of any emotion beyond barely functional. That afternoon, I got another text from Mom. Jake, I need you to pick up dessert for the party. Jennifer wants those special cupcakes from Sweet Tooth Bakery. Can you grab 4 dozen? Just put it on your card and we'll pay you back. 4 dozen cupcakes. My son was still in the ICU, still hooked to monitors, still recovering from nearly needing a breathing tube, and she wanted me to pick up cupcakes. I showed Olivia the text. She read it twice, then looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Are you kidding me right now? Your mom is asking you to run errands for a party while Noah's still in the hospital? I'm not going, I said. Obviously, I'm not going. You better not be going. If you even think about leaving this hospital before Noah's released, I swear to God, Jake. I texted back, can't do it. Still at the hospital with Noah. Mom, well, can Olivia pick them up? Or maybe you can order them online for delivery. Me, no. We're both staying with our son who is in intensive care. Mom, you're being very difficult about this. It's one simple errand. Austin's really excited about this party, and you're making it harder for everyone. I turned off my phone. Day 6, Noah got moved to the regular pediatric floor. Huge milestone. He was breathing easier, eating a little bit, even smiled when one of the nurses brought him a stuffed animal. The doctors said if everything continued improving, we might be able to go home in 2 or 3 days. That was Friday. The party was Saturday. Saturday morning at 9 a.m., my phone started ringing. Mom calling. I ignored it. She called again. Ignored it again. Then came a text. Jake, where are you? The party's in 5 hours and we still need those cupcakes. I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, Dad texted. Son, your mother's very upset. This party is important to your brother. The least you can do is help out with one small thing. Then Austin. Seriously, bro. You can't take 2 hours to help with my party? Real mature. Jennifer. I specifically requested those cupcakes weeks ago. This is supposed to be a special day for our family. Why are you trying to ruin it? I blocked all of them. Around 11 a.m., Olivia and I were sitting in Noah's room. He was coloring in a book, oxygen tube still in his nose but looking so much better. We were talking about what movies we'd watch when we got home, what foods he wanted to eat, normal parent stuff that felt like the greatest luxury after a week of terror. That's when the nurse came in looking uncomfortable. There are some people in the waiting room asking for you. They're pretty insistent. My stomach dropped. Who? They said they're family. Your parents and your brother? Olivia's head snapped up. You've got to be kidding me. I went out to the waiting room. Sure enough, there they were. Mom in a designer outfit clearly chosen for the party, Dad looking annoyed, Austin in khakis and a polo. Jennifer was there too, scrolling through her phone like she was bored. There you are, Mom rushed over. We've been calling you all morning. Did you get the cupcakes? I just stared at her. Are you serious right now? Don't take that tone with me. We drove all the way here to pick you up. The party starts in 3 hours and we still have so much to set up. Pick me up? My son is in the hospital. Austin stepped forward. Yeah, and he's fine now, right? Jennifer saw your wife's Facebook post saying he got moved out of ICU. So he's better. Come on, this party's important. He's still in the hospital, Austin. He's still on oxygen. He's still recovering, but he's out of ICU, Jennifer chimed in, not looking up from her phone. So the crisis is over. You can leave for a few hours. The crisis is over. Like our son being able to breathe without machines meant everything was suddenly fine. I'm not going to the party, I said slowly. I'm not leaving the hospital, and I'm not getting your cupcakes. Mom's expression changed. That look she gets when things aren't going her way. Jacob Richard Thompson, you are being incredibly selfish. Your brother has been planning this party for weeks. We've put so much work into it. The least you can do is show up for a few hours. My son almost died. But he didn't. Mom threw up her hands. He's fine. He's going to be fine. Stop being so dramatic and think about someone else for once. The nurse who'd come to get me was still standing there, eyes wide. A few other families in the waiting room were staring. Dad looked embarrassed but said nothing. You need to leave, I said. We're not leaving without you, Austin said. This is ridiculous. It's just a stupid party, yeah, but you're my brother. You should want to be there. And you're Noah's uncle. Did you want to be here? He looked genuinely confused. Why would I be here? Kids get sick all the time. That's what hospitals are for. Something in me just snapped. All those years of coming in second, of being the afterthought, of watching them celebrate Austin's mediocrity while ignoring my actual accomplishments. All the times I'd bitten my tongue, played nice, tried to be the good son. Get out! Excuse me? Mom's voice went shrill. Get out of this hospital. Get out of my life. Get out. You're being completely unreasonable. Dad finally spoke up. Your mother and brother came all this way to include you in a family celebration, and this is how you treat them? Include me? You want to include me? Where were you when Noah was admitted? Where were you when we didn't know if he'd need a breathing tube? Where were you during the worst week of my life? We were busy, Mom said defensively. We were planning the party. We can't just drop everything. But I can? I can drop everything and leave my son in the hospital for cupcakes and a party? It's not just a party. Jennifer finally looked up from her phone. It's a gender reveal. It's a special moment. Why can't you just be happy for us? The nurse stepped forward. I'm going to have to ask you folks to lower your voices. This is a pediatric floor. We're leaving, Mom said coldly. But don't think this is over, Jake. You're making a choice right now. You're choosing to exclude yourself from this family. No, I said. You made that choice when you asked me to pick up cupcakes while my son fought to breathe. They left. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't ask to see Noah. Didn't apologize. Just walked out in a huff because I'd refused to prioritize their party over my son's health. I went back to Noah's room. Olivia took one look at my face and knew. They were here. Yeah. What happened? I told them to leave. She hugged me. Right there in that hospital room, with Noah coloring in his bed and monitors beeping in the background. My wife hugged me, and I finally let myself feel everything I'd been holding back. We got home 3 days later. Noah still needed breathing treatments and careful monitoring, but he was better. The doctor said he'd make a full recovery, though we needed to watch for any signs of respiratory distress in the coming weeks. The texts started almost immediately. Mom, the party was beautiful. Shame you missed it. It's a boy, by the way. You would know that if you'd bothered to show up. Austin, thanks for nothing, bro. Really showed your true colors. Dad, your mother is very hurt. I think you owe the family an apology. Jennifer, I can't believe you made our special day about you. So typical. I didn't respond to any of them. A week later, they showed up at our house. Didn't call first, just rang the doorbell on a Sunday afternoon. Noah was napping upstairs, finally sleeping without needing breathing treatments every 4 hours. I opened the door to find all 4 of them on the porch. Mom holding a gift bag. Probably something for Noah that was really about making herself feel better. We're here to talk, Dad announced. This has gone on long enough. There's nothing to talk about, I said. Yes, there is, Mom pushed forward. You embarrassed us at the hospital. You embarrassed Austin and Jennifer. You need to apologize so we can move past this. I actually laughed. I need to apologize. Yes, your behavior was completely unacceptable. We came all that way to include you in the party, and you threw a tantrum like a child. Austin nodded. You made Jennifer cry, man. She was so stressed about the party being ruined. My son was in the ICU, and we acknowledged that. Mom's voice rose. We sent a card, but life goes on, Jake. We can't put everything on hold because Noah had a little health scare. A little health scare. That's what they'd reduced it to. Olivia appeared behind me. She'd been in the kitchen but must have heard the conversation. You need to leave. This is between Jake and his family, Mom said dismissively. I'm his family. Noah is his family. You people are just related to him. There's a difference. Jennifer gasped. How dare you? We're his parents. Then act like it. Olivia's voice cracked. Act like parents who care that their grandson almost died. Act like parents who support their son instead of making everything about Austin. Act like decent human beings for once. The neighbors were definitely watching now. Mrs. Peterson next door was full-on staring from her porch. We've done everything for Jake, Dad said. Raised him, paid for his education, given him opportunities. This is how he repays us? You paid for Austin's education, I corrected. I had a scholarship, remember? You paid for Austin's private college while I worked 2 jobs to cover my expenses at state school. You had a scholarship, Mom said. Like that explained everything. Austin needed more support. Austin needed more support. Austin always needs more support. Austin needs a party while my son needs to breathe. Austin, Austin, Austin. It's always been about Austin. That's not true, Austin protested. Don't make me the bad guy here just because you're jealous. Jealous? Of what? Your 3 house sales this year? Your Instagram wife? Your gender reveal party that was so important you couldn't check on your nephew in the ICU? The silence that followed was heavy. Mom looked shocked. Dad looked angry. Austin looked confused, like he was trying to figure out if 3 houses was actually impressive or not. And Jennifer had gone back to her phone. If you don't apologize right now, Dad said slowly, you'll be uninvited from all family events going forward. This is your last chance. I looked at these people who'd raised me but never really saw me, who'd made me feel less than my entire life, who'd asked me to abandon my critically ill son for a party. Okay, I said. I'm sorry. Mom's face lit up. Oh, honey, I'm sorry I wasted so many years trying to earn respect from people who were never going to give it. I'm sorry I let you make me feel inadequate when I was the only one actually accomplishing anything. I'm sorry I didn't stand up for myself sooner. And I'm sorry Noah will never have real grandparents from my side, but that's on you, not me. The light in Mom's face died. You don't mean that. Yeah, I do. We're done. No more family dinners where you ignore us. No more holidays where Austin gets celebrated and Noah gets overlooked. No more pretending this is a functional family relationship. We're done. You're making a mistake, Dad said. The mistake was showing up to your lives for 32 years thinking it would matter. But I'm done making that mistake. I closed the door. They stood on the porch for another minute. I could hear Mom crying, Dad's angry muttering, Austin saying something about me being ungrateful. Then they left. That was 3 months ago. Haven't heard from them since, except for one text from Mom saying I'd broken her heart and that she'd never forgive this betrayal. The irony was completely lost on her. Noah's fully recovered now, breathing normally, back in daycare. No lasting effects from the infection. We had a small celebration when he got cleared by the doctors. Just us and Olivia's parents, who drove 6 hours to be there because that's what people who actually care about their grandkids do. My boss gave me a promotion last month. Senior Director of Development, big raise, bigger projects, actual career advancement. I called Olivia first, then Olivia's parents, then my best friend from college. Didn't even think about calling my family until 2 days later. And by then I realized I didn't care about telling them. Last week, I got a Facebook friend request from some random account, accepted it without thinking, and immediately got a message. Congrats on being a terrible brother. Mom's devastated. Hope you're happy. I blocked the account. Probably Austin or Jennifer using a fake profile. The thing is, I am happy. Happier than I've been in years. Turns out when you stop trying to earn approval from people who'll never give it, you have a lot more energy for the people who actually matter. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.